Hello. I thought I'd just give a quick update on a few different things. Whilst someone is having a little bit of a nap, although I'm not entirely convinced that is happening now, but we'll see how we go. So today is Tuesday, the 8th of September, and I saw the surgeon yesterday at the hospital. I also saw my haematologist. Between them, they took what I suspect to be all my blood. And they booked me in to go in first thing tomorrow morning, 7:45. I'm glad it's early because I can't eat anything beforehand, so I'd rather get it out of the way early because I do like my food. I'm first on the list, so I should. But this time tomorrow or fairly shortly afterwards, I will be the bearer of a new hip, and a nice new scar down the side of my leg to add to my C-section scar. All fun and games. I have also been told, which wasn't mentioned previously because of the kind of the major panic about my hip, that actually it's not just in my hip. The lymphoma is pretty much everywhere in my bones, not my organs, so it's not hasn't affected any other systems, which is a blessing. But it is a kind of widespread, is the word they used, in my bones. So there's some in my ribs. There's some in particular which is in my pelvis on right hand side. So I do get really quite horrific lower back pain on the right hand side. That was a sneeze. Here she is. So there you go. So yeah, I do get some fairly horrific back pain, which, I mean, basically has me sobbing, if I'm honest. I mean, I've got a pretty high pain threshold, but this just kills me. So obviously that won't be sorted by the hip, but hopefully will be sorted by the chemo. Now, after the hip surgery, I've got a 3-week waiting period because they need to make sure that it's healed. So it's going to be about 3 weeks. 3 weeks is kind of the shortest time it'll be before I start my chemo, so they can't risk the wound not being properly healed. So, because there's infections. Something else my haematologist said to me is she gave me the rundown of how the chemo is going to work in terms of like how often I have to be in the regime and everything. So it's a 21-day cycle. This is escalated BIACOP, it's called. So it's a 21-day cycle. I have to go into hospital as outpatient on days 1, 2 and 3. Then I'm taking things at home on days 4, 5, 6 and 7. Then back in hospital on days 8 and 9. Again, outpatients, haven't got to stay in or anything. And then from days 9 to 15, I will again be taking things at home, a couple of tablets and steroids and things like that, as well as blood thinning injections that I'll have to take for 6 weeks after the surgery, which I had to take for 6 weeks after my C-section, so I'm quite familiar with those. And then days kind of 15 to 21, I get to rest and not have anything until it starts all over again. So I've got to have 6 cycles of that minimum. They'll do another PET scan after 2 cycles to see how it's all going. If it's going really well, which obviously is the ideal, they'll reduce it down to a treatment called ABVD, which is kind of a bit less toxic. That's obviously the hope. Even if it's, I mean, I've read some stories, spoken to some people who have said actually after the 2 months of that, it was actually all gone completely, even at stage 4. That's the ideal. They'll still do the 4 months of ABVD just to kick it in the arse on its way out, I think. But yeah, so it's going to be six rounds of treatment as a minimum. I've heard some pretty horrible stories, if I'm honest, about how it feels, and from kind of first hand from people who've done it, which is it's better than kind of having low expectations and then being hit square in the face with it. But it's what I think I'm going to do, which I will publish on here and bits and pieces like that, and I'll post links and stuff. But what I'm going to do, which is what I've heard other people have done, is rather than have kind of what I think would be quite distressing as an experience of watching my hair come out in clumps. Apparently, it only takes 2 days for it to fall out in full. Because it's so toxic, the escalated beer cop. So instead, I think as soon as I start treatment, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get rid of it all. And then it's my choice to do it, rather than having that choice taken away and just having to kind of watch it come out in the, and in fistfuls, which would be quite upsetting, I think. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to see if I can donate it to the Little Princess Trust, where they use it for wigs for children with cancer and stuff like that. I think that'll be a nice thing to do. And I'm going to do some fundraising while I do it, like my husband did for Mummy's Star, but I'm going to do it for another charity that's helping us out hugely, called Team Verico. Amazing charity, actually. They've helped us enormously. What they're doing at the moment, of course, it's supposed to be kind of covering treatment period, but treatment's been delayed so long. It's actually only going to cover a few weeks of the treatment, but it's still been a massive help. Is every week they're paying for a cleaner to come round. Actually, I can't do anything with my hip anyway, so actually it's still been very useful for that. So they're paying for that. It's 2 people to come round for an hour twice a week, so 4 hours in total of cleaning each week. They're also reimbursing our food bill for up to £50 each week, and they're doing all of this for 16 weeks in total, which is amazing. So it's about £1,600 is what they're doing for us in terms of funding for help. So what we're going to do is I'm going to raise money for them. We raised £1,000 for Mummy's Star. I'm hoping to at least aim for something vaguely similar for Team Verico. If you don't know them, again, they're a very small charity. I only came across them because a friend of mine did a fundraising gig for us to kind of help us out in case Luke needs to take any compassionate leave from work. And a friend of his commented on it, and the friend that commented is kind of one of the people who runs it, and other than that, I don't think I would have ever come across it. So Team Verico, very worthwhile cause. So that's what's happening. This time tomorrow I'll be in hospital. They're doing it under kind of a local, spinal anaesthetic, but with sedation. So I hopefully won't be awake and alert enough to hear the bone saw, because that's going to be quite horrific if I do. My daughter, the bigger one, Jessica, she was quite keen to see if they would video it so she could watch it, because she has aspirations of being a surgeon, but sadly they said no. They said they do sometimes video surgeries for education and stuff like that, but they can't just set up an iPhone on a tripod and say, right, there we go, which is a shame for her. But yeah, so this time tomorrow I'll either be still in surgery or not long out of it, and perhaps I'll do another one of these in a fairly groggy state, and then you can all find out about my pain levels. I'll probably be high as a kite because they'll have me on all sorts of things. But yeah, so more of this, I think, tomorrow once I am bionic woman, and then on to a longer recovery period. So turns out a nap isn't happening, but she's been quiet, so we'll go with it, and I'll perhaps get back to doing some more crochet, because that's my distraction of choice these days. So yeah, I'll do a video for everyone tomorrow. Hope they're not too boring for anyone who's watching them. But yeah, speak to you then.